And we're back talking again.
Here we are.
It's amazing. Here we are.
Megan, Marg, M&Ms.
Yeah. We might have trouble if we continue to refer to ourselves as M&Ms.
Yeah, it's not very healthy, is it?
It's not very healthy, and we
really
might
like
have some
M&Ms.
copyright infringement.
Oh, that's true too. But I also don't like M&Ms. Anyways,
really?
we digress. Okay,
Absolutely.
So, when we're talking about preventative health, really, why should we care? And I think when I'm thinking about this whole movement and why I'm so jazzed about this, and I know I geek out about it a lot, but it's because I've seen in the trenches as a massage therapist and a healthcare professional, I've seen firsthand what investment in prevention does for people.
Right.
Even when they're faced with a diagnosis or a really challenging time in their lives. You know, it is so incredibly, I feel so blessed and feel very lucky to have put my hands on thousands of people over the course of my career and been able to be part of someone's journey to facilitate these conversations and mindset change, but to give them an opportunity in the clinic with, at Wallace for Wellness, we enabled people to come through the doors to really start to take control of their health and to stock their toolbox and to get their healthcare team and for us to constantly be reminding them that they're the most important member of their healthcare team and helping to build that health esteem. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool, Meg, for us to talk about some real live examples, because I've got thousands of them through my years as a therapist, but one stands out and really relevant as we're talking about, this preventative health movement kind of coming outside of, since the pandemic, because people, I think, are ready to hear it now. I mean, welcome to the party. It's never too late to join and at any age and stage of life. But I recall in the throes of lockdown, and we were finally allowed as massage therapists to be back in the clinic. And I found it really hard for 3 months when we weren't allowed to be there, because I knew there were so many people that were in chronic pain that we treated on a regular basis, that they were suffering at home. And I was doing webinars and things, calling people and giving them stretches and doing things over the phone, hydrotherapy and things to help them while they were unable to come in for treatment. But when we got back in clinic, I had a time, and there's been many of these times in my career that have really stopped me dead in my tracks. And I've been so proud of the work that we do in preventative health, but so honored that I was able to be part of someone's story in a positive way. So I want to share this story with you. I had this amazing woman that's been coming to me for years, and she comes, once a month on a regular basis for her massage therapy treatment. And she originally came to me years ago because she had been in a car accident, and I've seen her through many trials and tribulations in her life, both mental and physical, injuries and different emotional things that she'd gone through, and marriage challenges, and our mind and body are connected. So I've seen her through a lot of that. She came in during January of 2021 for just a regular treatment, and this was soon after we were back at work. And well, I guess it was not, we went back June 2020, so this was a few months later. And so she was just coming for a regular treatment. How are you? I'm fine. I'm just stressed like the rest of us. I'm not sleeping well. It's been really challenging, worried about family's health, all the things. So we just decided we were going to do a treatment that really was to just bring her nervous system down and de-stress her, which is so, we undervalue. We wear stress as a badge. And we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, on one of the episodes, because we wear it like a badge, and stress, is necessary. But when it's prolonged, it has a nasty impact. So I was treating her, and quite frankly, at the end of the treatment, doing her head, neck, and shoulders, I was coming down the front of her chest and close to the axilla, close to the armpit. And because she'd been coming to me for years, one of the things I love and so proud of as a massage therapist is that I get to know people
just
very
their bodies.
Well. I know their bodies.
Structure.
Exactly. The structure, their emotions. Our bodies are house for emotions.
Yes.
It's a time where you can spend 1 hour one-on-one with somebody and talk about investing in your health. But she was the one investing in her health. She came whether she had a problem or not. She wasn't just coming to me because she had a headache, or just coming to me because her back hurt, or just coming to me because she did too much gardening. She came on a regular basis because she was investing in prevention. Well, what happened that day changed me as a practitioner and her life, which makes me tearful, quite frankly, because as I come down the anterior chest wall and close to her axilla, to her armpit, I felt a change in her tissue. There was a little lump. And because I treated her regularly and she comes often, I noticed the change, but it was really small. So not to alarm her, I just said, oh, have you felt this? And she said, felt what? And I put her hand there and she goes, oh, no. And I asked her, did you have your mammogram? Well, no, because of the pandemic, I hadn't had my mammogram. And, it makes me a little crazy because what more important time could there be than in a pandemic? Just, people weren't beckoned to come in for their mammograms yet. If we go years without one, it can be a different story when you finally get that diagnosis. Yeah. So I didn't want to alarm her, but as my job as a regulated health professional, I said, you might want to speak to your doctor about this. Maybe you should go see him or her and have this checked out. And I got to tell you, my gut, because of my palpation skills for so many years, I have found and palpated cancer before, and I was concerned, although it was really small. Fast forward 3 to 4 weeks later, I'm in the clinic. I'll never forget, it was Friday afternoon, and I got a call. And it was actually her physician. And he said to me he wanted to speak to me because he said, I understand that you were the one that told her to come see me. And he said, I wanted to let you know that unfortunately it was a malignancy. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But the next thing that he said was, how did you feel that? It was really small. He said, however, it was an aggressive form of cancer. She had already been booked for a mastectomy. And I said very clearly and very quickly, I did my job. I did my job as a massage therapist, but more importantly, she did her job. She
followed up and investigated.
And as a person that had been investing in her health for years, because I knew her body so well, because I treated her on a regular basis, I noticed through my palpation of her tissues, small change, that maybe she wouldn't have felt till much later, or God forbid, maybe not had a mammogram for a couple of years through the pandemic, and it could have been a very different story. We had a good cry, her and I together, when she brought me this lounge suit with stars all over it and said that I was a superstar.
Oh, that's so amazing. You should have worn it today.
I should have worn it today. But it wasn't about me.
No.
I congratulated her for recognizing that investing in her health mattered. Yeah. That coming from massage therapy wasn't fluff and stuff and a nice to have, a luxury, but rather an important part of her healthcare regime. And because of that, like I've always said, I don't use the word alternative. Her conventional medical doctor reached out to me. We were better together because we put that patient at the center. And I'm happy to say she's doing very, very well.
That's fantastic.
A win for preventative health. And that's why we're doing and having these conversations and why this movement is so important. And I know, Megan, since we've embarked on this new collaboration we're doing with musculoskeletal and bone health, not only do we want to be the trusted resource for bone health analysis and finding out what our bone health is like way before it's too late, but also bone health education because it empowers people to act. And I know just recently we've had many stories. You've now scanned how many people in Canada? We've only been at it.
Yes, not too long. I would say we're getting close to 150 scans now.
Yeah, which means 150 people's lives that we've impacted. Yeah.
Before we talk too much about the bone health, what I would like to really pick out from your story there is there's a lot to be said for intuition, following your gut, and if you think something's wrong, go investigate it. Try and find a person who will listen to you, a team that will listen, and most of all, listen to yourself.
Yes,
right?
And ask questions.
Yeah, and the reason I was talking about intuition, it's not necessarily that the client had intuition about anything going on. You had intuition. You had muscle memory. You had
palpation
awareness of her normal, for lack of a better word. I've had clients like that during my fertility years where I was just thinking, something's doesn't add up.
Right.
And, following through with those little things that don't sit right with your gut. Yeah. I think it's really important for us as a collective to kind of start following those little nudges, or even if we don't have nudges, just to say, okay, I do realize that I could take an active role in my health, Or it's also my choice to not take an active role in my health. But one of my favorite quotes is, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness.
Absolutely.
So I think that as we're challenging the status quo, as we're trying to shift, people into thinking about themselves and taking responsibility for themselves, that we're really going to uncover a lot of interesting information. And we all have the power to do that. We were speaking just during the break about our cocoon phase. Let this be a time, let this be the impetus for you to say, you know what, I've kind of neglected myself for a really long time, and maybe I should really start being a more active participant in my health. I'm going to go into that cocoon phase, because what happens after cocoon phase? You turn into this beautiful butterfly.
Right.
And I think it's really important to make sure that we are all busy. We all live in this very rat race, busy society, and I think it's really important to learn how to stop and take time for yourself.
Yes.
So that you can, perhaps find these little things.
Yes, and to help support our frontline healthcare professionals who are doing yeoman's work and are exhausted because we've got a mentality of disempowered people that are literally going passively to their doctor to say, "Fix me, doc."
Yep.
And expect that the doctor is going to know. Like, you have a responsibility to share and to ask questions and to give information so that the doctor can help dissect and bring a plan together. Because if we don't play an active participation in our health, then we do get those horrible moments that catch us off guard. But really, and I've seen this often, when you really ask people, I mean, yes, there are times where people get sick overnight and but often.
Right.
We aren't listening. We stick it back and we don't listen and we don't want to hear because of fear. And we're here to try to take some of that fear away through empowerment and education. Because when you feel more empowered, you feel more in control.
Yeah.
It doesn't and I think that's where a lot of anxiety is coming from in our system and in our world nowadays. This lack of feeling of control is bountiful. It really is.
Right.
So how do we take back some control? Well, we can do that in small ways. We can do that by the little things: what water we're drinking, what media we're consuming, who we surround ourselves with, the questions we ask, the things we determine that we want to interact with. We have choices.
Yes.
And we want to make informed decisions about our health and our life, instead of just going along like a ping pong ball and waiting to be hit from one place to another. We can have some control over what we're doing. And that's what we want to do here in these conversations, and really help to take away the fear. But actually, we don't want to take away the fear, because it can't. It's going to exist. But let's have conversations around the fear, and let's figure out what we can do to help you.
Well, you can embrace it.
Embrace it,
and
feel
you
it.
can either try and forget it. What is the other fear? Is forget everything and run, or face everything and rise.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
it could be as simple as that choice, having a micro goal, changing a little thing that could make the difference. I think another thing that's really important, that I'm just going to harken back to your story that you just told us about this person that was coming in. She was looking after her health. And what's a really crucial part of sometimes when you're meeting someone with an illness is, what is their baseline? And so when I was growing up, I don't know what you did, but my mom used to bring us to the doctor every year for a checkup.
Right.
And, just before school started, you're growing, you're changing, whatever. Let's get a checkup.
Yeah.
And that's gone by the wayside. People don't go for checkups anymore.
Right.
People don't do that. And
because
why don't we?
Strained,
right?
And they can barely get in now to see a doctor because they're so strained. I hear you.
But even if you're not going to a doctor, you can ask yourself once a year, probably during Preventative Health Awareness Month. I think that would be a great time to do it. February, everybody's over the Christmas rush, and taking a look inside yourself and saying, okay, I'm going to check in with myself. I'm going to have a checkup.
Yeah.
And if something feels weird or different, journaling, anything.
Write it down.
Micro goals, I think, are so important when we can get really overwhelmed very quickly when it comes to facing these things, or when it comes to changing your, I just go along in life and I wait till something's wrong, to being proactive about something. Right. It changes your muscle. You're flexing different muscles.
Right.
So.
And I think we can bite this elephant because it is that.
Yeah.
One little bit at a time. And that's what I hope that we're going to be able to do.
It's a very funny visual.
Isn't it? Biting an
Biting
elephant.
the elephant. I'd rather bite a big piece of cake, but yeah.
Exactly.
Can we have some bone health cake?
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of bone health, because we've only got a couple of minutes left here,
Yeah.
and I do want to talk about, it's a perfect example. People that are coming to us now for a bone scan, talking about getting a baseline and understanding. We know that peak bone mass happens at the age of 30, and we know that with age, that declines, but the speed and the severity of that decline is impacted by so many things. What we eat, if we move our bodies, are you on medications? Are you diabetic? Is your thyroid working? Does your gut have issues? Have you gone through cancer? I mean, we can go on and on and on, but we go through seamlessly without knowing, and we aren't going to wait to have a DEXA scan, for example, till we're 65 or until we fracture. But what we want to do is start that conversation, get that baseline earlier.
Yes.
And know where our bone health is, because that's impacting all of our health. And we're seeing that in the scans that you've been doing, right, Megan? I mean, where people are finding out, I'm osteopenic, the stage before osteoporosis.
Yeah.
Well, that's a place of empowerment. Now we know, what can we do with our diet, with nutrition, with our supplements? And sometimes it may be medications that we need to rely on. But let's stock people's toolbox. And so I cannot go and finish our first episode on PHAMCAST without showing everybody. If you're listening in, you're going to have to go on over to YouTube and you got to look at the video on this.
We need some descriptions.
Megan brought me to tears today when she brought me this. Help me open it,
It's
Meg.
the Blinginess toolbox.
So this is, I always talk about what we're going to do is to stock your preventative health toolbox so you can be the CEO of your health. And for those of you at home, let me paint a picture for you. If you're walking and you're only listening to us, Megan has created this literal toolbox for me that is blinged out, all the bling, all the pretty.
Imagine Liberace made a toolbox. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And inside it, it says CEO. Because what we're here to do is to help you stock this toolbox at every age and stage of life so you can get into action and be the CEO of your health and be pretty while you're doing it. So what
Guys and
toolbox
gals.
do you have at home? Megan, you brought me to tears, but it also made me laugh.
Yeah.
So this is going to be kind of with us all the time, reminding us that we're here.
We're taking names. We're taking names. We need to name this thing. It's a beast all on its own.
It is. But we want people to have their own toolbox,
That's right.
Their own handbag, whatever that is for you.
Yes.
We want you stocking it so you feel empowered. And that's going to change at every age and stage of life. But if we have those tools in there, we get to make informed decisions about our health. We get to actually feel more empowered. So even when we go through tough times, it's going to make a difference. So Meg, what a blast. It's our first episode.
That's amazing.
It's a wrap already.
It is.
Wasn't that fun?
That's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun. For
It sure does. So everybody stay tuned. Make sure you give us a follow. And remember, we're going to leave you with this until next time. Remember this, a healthy tomorrow begins with prevention today. Take care, stay well, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.